The first question, there was a question with regard to the capital amount to be paid before the debt is then written off, or interest and penalties written off. Now, maybe just to give you an overview, I mean, the total tax debt, we're talking about 73 billion. But out of that 73 billion, it's only 16 billion, which is capital, and I think 43 billion it's penalties, and the rest is interest. But what one need to understand here, what I have noted, you will find some company or some individuals or company who have not been trading, and maybe they have not been filing. What you will find mostly is just interest, because every day you have not filed, you get charged interest. And we are then saying that this amnesty is something that you have not seen before, because this is the first time that you have a 100% interest and penalty remitted. In that case, we would want to encourage those who have those debt, come to the office. If you are not registered on the portal or in the ITAS, Integrated Tax Administration System, you get registered. You filed your return indicating that you did not trade and so on. Then it's cleared. You may not even need to pay. Some people may even need to pay 100 or 2. So the most important thing is consultation and engagement, and that's why we are here. I think the question of Master Vincent, I think it was addressed by Master Ndorokade, and I don't need to repeat that. And there was a concern raised about the creation of content. It goes to South Africa, and when it comes to South Africa, from South Africa, one again need to pay the VAT. Then you only have about 3 years. Basically, it's the fact that there is not much business sometimes, and we must be able to create work for this sector. And also, of course, the question whether can the sector be exempted from tax from now until further notice. One need to understand the principle of taxation. Just because you are in business or you are an artist does not mean that you have to pay tax. You pay tax if you have made the income that meet that threshold. When you make more than 50,000 per annum, one then need to reflect and know that which you have made, and of course remember, you are still entitled to deduct your expenses. And when you deduct your expenses out of that, you have total revenue and you deduct expenses. It does not always mean that when you are in business, you just have to pay tax. You have your expenses to deduct. And of course, when you have then meet the threshold, then it's only when you are required to pay tax. I think it needs to be in someone's mind that sometime when you have made that profit that meet within the threshold, there is a portion that is not yours. And unfortunately, and I needed also to clarify that, I may repeat it again, the concept of taxation, it's not an optional. Now, with regard to the exemption, there are 2 principles in taxation. One is tax policy, the other one is tax administration. Now, an institution like NamRA is required to administer the tax law as it is. Then you have another independent institution called tax policy, which is then responsible to come up with new laws, changing the tax law as it is. We have to implement and administer the law as it is. So that's why the issue of exemption, that is a decision that can never be made by an institution like NamRA. And an engagement like this is then timely for us to understand what NamRA can do and what they cannot do. I move to Master Ngolo's comment. Okay. Again, like I indicated, that our coming here, we didn't just come here and say, oh, creative industry, we want you to pay tax. You did not, we didn't just come here, we say we came here to engage you. But in my introductory remark, I even indicated that seek first to understand before you can be understood. Now, there was a very positive critic that, oh, you guys just came here and you also did not do the research. Now, we came, everything have a beginning. This is even the first engagement with this sector. And there are many sectors in this country. We have had the whole of last week, we were busy with the engagement like this. Now, everything have a beginning. What if we go and do research and so on, we have not even engaged you to understand your challenge and so on? Remember, we are not a research institution. We are tax administration, but now you just you start researching, you come here, you want to maybe present finding, and you say, oh no, but you're supposed to do this and so. So I think everything have a beginning. And now, when our president said, please hold hand in moving to the same direction, how do I then even start doing research? And I have not even engaged you just to introduce myself and also understand the challenge that you are facing from our perspective. And therefore, I don't think our being here, this is a sales pitch. There was no any other intention than for us to inform you about our mandate and for us also to understand the sector. And it was proven there that our understanding of this sector is limited. But also it was also from some of the questions as well, it's also understood that the role of tax administration is also misunderstood and so on. This is not a sales pitch. Everyone will tell you in any country, there are two things that are certain. Death and paying tax. Now, paying tax is not optional. It's not a favor that I'm coming to ask you a favor. It's a compulsory if you are meeting that threshold. The reason why I would want those who are taking this serious, I've seen people who are serious about their business, and only for you sometime to have made it and thinking you have made it, and one day for the tax authority to come and say, look, oh, all this that you have made, okay, what has been your contribution? We've done this assessment. I think we need to let those who would want to understand the importance of contributing. If you are not making money, if you are not making revenue, it does not mean just because you are in the industry or in business, you must pay tax. You pay tax when you have made money and you have met the threshold that by law you can pay. It was not a sales pitch. There is no intention for that. The purpose was to understand that which we did not understand, and also for us to answer your question, but let it be clear. If you are making money from this economy, our law says there are some obligation on your side, and unfortunately those obligation is not optional or a favor. It's a compulsory, it's a legal matter as well, if I can take it that way. Then the last comment was from Miss Kapuka. Dina, yours was my mouthful. Graphic designer. Again, if we didn't come here today, Dina, we wouldn't understand your expectation. Now we do know that next time when we address this sector, we need also to take into consideration that, oh, sometime you will understand better in graphics and picture and so on. We can do that. We can do that. We will be able to do that. But without understanding your side, how will we know? Because you will find other people like numbers. Other people just like someone just talking like I'm talking off the cuff. Other people, they would want to see visual and so on. And now that we know, I take that as a very positive, and we will work on that. Then there is an issue of I don't think you did a research. Yes, it's very true. We did not do a research before we came here. And because we came to engage, to get to know you. Maybe this is a beginning. The information that we are gathering here can be a contribution to our research. Then going forward, we are better informed. Yes, we agree we didn't do a research because we came here to understand you, to understand your challenge, to see how can we work better. Then, of course, there was also then an issue about we are not friendly at all. And our employees are rude with capital R. And that you wish our manner could match our outfit. There is a saying that you cannot manage what you do not know. As I'm talking to you, this session is broadcasted, it's live, streamed live, and so on. And my official, they are also listening. We are not here to defend ourselves, but we are here to say where we were at our launch is not where we are today. We are making progress. I have also indicated during my presentation that even our efficiency is not where it's supposed to be, because we were created to improve service delivery. But we are very serious about wanting to become a world-class revenue agency. We are very serious about serving with passion. We are very serious about impacting the livelihood of every Namibian. And if I can add, already in the 2 years, last year, our first year and the second year, we were able to collect revenue that has never been collected before, meet our target, so that the hospital, they have medication and so on, and we have peace and stability. But again, if you did not bring this to our attention, so that when we didn't have our staff meeting, we said, please, next time we do not want that feedback where that our attitude must match our outfit. But I must also tell you, there are men and women in that institution as well who are committed, who have great attitude that I have never seen somewhere sometime, who are incorruptible. And I want to give you an example. You can do your research in this country this year. We have about 3 sting operations where people who try to bribe our officials, they got arrested and the money was recovered. 3 cases involving about 7 suspects that were arrested. Do your own research in this country and say which other institution have reported more bribery attempt cases and people have been arrested than Namibia Revenue Agency. Give me another company that have identified cases of fraudulent refund involving 1,000 staff. And therefore, I think when a child is growing and moving forward, it requires the hands to be helped to grow instead of being put down. But all your feedback, we only grow from those feedback. But if we didn't know, that's why this engagement became very, very important, and it was never a sales pitch, because we have got no reason. We are not in the business of sales pitch. We're in the business of collecting revenue on behalf of the state so that Namibia can prosper. If NamRA win, Namibia will win. There was a question about the difference between income tax and VAT. Now, income tax, if you have a business or you are employed and you get paid, you get that income that you come, or you make that profit, then that taxable income, that is now what is called income tax. The VAT is really what they call consumption tax. When you go to ShopRite, or maybe when you design a graphic, let's say your threshold as a graphic designer, consistently you exceed 500,000, you indicated that you don't. Then you can then register so that you charge 15% on top of of the service that you are selling, and you withhold that 15% and you pay it over. Or when you go and buy at ShopRite, they have all added a 15%, but that 15% they must withhold it, and they pay it over to government. It's a consumption tax. Every time you buy, they will normally, unless if it's zero rated or exempted, there will be a 15% where the seller then hold that 15% and is supposed then to pay it over to the state through Namibia Revenue Agency. So I think I have tried to address all those questions. But again, just to say that everything have a beginning, and the best beginning is first for people to know one another, understand each other's needs, then you move forward instead of. And again, I think there's one thing, Mr. Magolo, here that the industry. I have tried to give advice to the industry, and please don't miss this. I'm saying there was a point there that when COVID came, you were the most neglected. I gave you just free consultation or advice. What did I say? I said, sometime what is good is really to be aggressive in ensuring that all the participants and players in this sector, they are registered somewhere and what they do. Because already there's already an issue of self-employment there as well. So you are contributing to unemployment, to the reduction of unemployment. Then you also try to understand, okay, those colleagues who are in creative industry, those who are paying VAT over, how much are they paying? Those who are paying tax, how much are they paying, and so on. When maybe there is an event, and so you can also try to work out your contribution to the economy. Then you speak with one voice, so that when there is even, because we had the COVID crisis, if you are to speak with one voice and say, look, this industry need to be helped and so on, it's much better than when everyone is speaking on themselves and so on. So if you think this was a waste of your time and you forgot this free advice, and I have also given an example that the Chamber of Mines are doing this very, very well. And that's why when their CEO is talking, people listen. This industry have a lot of potential and it's very critical and very important. If you forget everything we have told you, also please leave knowing that NamRA have given you free advice that can get a lot of respect and in the future be able to get support. But it's up to you whether you take it or, because sometimes I always tell you when you have a session like this, it's ACT. You're going to apply, change, and teach others who are not here. We were just going to say it was just a sales talk. It was definitely not a sales talk. I know what the sales talk is all about. Thank you. Now, the issue of combating counterfeit, and I'm happy that NASCAM, when they have the operation, they work with us as well. It's also in our space. There is a law in Namibia. Counterfeiting is a criminal offense. And again, if you have your products that are being counterfeited and so on, it's not always easy to fight counterfeit, but we are committed to help. We are committed. We have a team. We have put together a team that just focus on counterfeit, and we continue capacitating that team as well. So that is now with regard to your question as to what are we doing with regard to that? Because currently we are still in the building stage, but we do have a team that deals with IPR, and we are capacitating the team. But if we are told that there is a case somewhere, we are still able to act, working together with those who would be in a position to help us and identify that this is a counterfeited product. So we're still building capacity in that area. The digital economy taxation is something. The digital economy is something that we are not yet there. But again, because we are only 29 months, but we are working with developmental partners, like we have seen in one of our strategic objectives, that we are investing in NamRA and its people. We're really working big to ensure that the digital economy is also taxed, just like Master France indicated as well, that the country is losing a lot of revenue. Mr. Paul, from the Namibia Film Commission, you've indicated that 18 of you are registered. I think I take note of your comment and your concern. And we are saying, with regard to the request for classification, we have a process called the issuance of ruling, whereby we can issue a ruling and that ruling will be the one to be applied. Now, for it to take effect, one will need to write to us, to my office, and you state your case, the challenges, then one then make the request. Then we will be able to look at what the law says, the fact, and we'll then make a ruling. And that ruling is it's legal binding. And I promise you, we are able to do that within a period of 14 working days, and we'll give that to you. Then the issue of incentive, I've taken note of the comments and the proposal for incentive, but like I've indicated at the beginning, that you have tax policy and tax and you have tax policy and tax administration. The issue, the consideration or the decision of matter that falls within tax policy is really not for NamRA, but because we are visible, we engage more and we believe in engaging our stakeholder. We are saying that sometimes it's very critical and very good for the industry or for those who are in the industry to put together even a submission. And you say, look, Namibia can create more value and revenue in this as a result of A, B, C, D. You cite example like Morocco and so on, and say, please, can you consider this as well? Yes, it's not in our space, but we will then be able to direct it to tax policy under the leadership of Master Oscar Capelal. He came from private sector. He is very committed and he wants to make things happen. And I think we are going to see more dynamic tax policy than we have seen it before in this country. And therefore, we are saying that's not in our space. But again, now at least the advantage that you made time to come at this meeting, now you know that we are not here to say this is not possible or this is not impossible. We're saying that do your proper research, substantiate your argument, give examples, and it may work. I'll give an example. There used to be a time whereby those who are doing exploration in Namibia, I think there was a time whereby they cannot claim until a specific period of time, they cannot claim their VAT input. And that's how it was. And they stood up, and because they spoke with one voice, and they gave a very big submission citing different examples from different countries and so on. And if you go to the Chamber of Mines now, if you read the annual report of last year, one of their best achievements, they convinced the government through tax policy and it was changed. But sometimes this thing really work, especially when you speak with one voice, but you're also able to do your own substantive research and cite examples, because nobody can claim to understand your industry and your challenge than yourself. NamRA will never be in a position to understand you better than you understand yourself. And if you say, NamRA, why can you not do that research for us? NamRA is fighting big battles. NamRA is fighting big battles involving billions that need to be paid by the mines, by the fishing industry, and so on. And we need to, you understand. So, and also NamRA also know. I'll give you an example, like the colleagues, the people in the diamond polishing industry, whereby you have these people who have been given an exemption in the EPZ, economic, EPZ. They've been given exemption. They said they are coming to provide employment and so on. Only for them, you go in the entire industry, majority or 99% of everyone is being paid under the threshold. No VAT, no income tax. Export levy in 10 years is about only 6,000. Nothing comes. So there's always a two school of thought. There are people who have come to this country and argued very strong case about the importance of incentive and so on. But from the data that we are seeing now, but I'm talking about diamond polishing industry, for example. But they convince government and so on, and so we are creating job and so on. Job where you're paying people 2,000 and so on. It cannot be a NamRA. We have this data, but I'm saying you are better positioned to do that study and to do a research and submit. And I always say the Chamber of Mines, the way they get their data and how they are presenting it, they achieved big, and I see it possible with this industry as well. I'm moving on to the second last one. Yes, Master Bellem said, I think I can only agree with your proposal. The need to, again, even though I have indicated that yes, if there is about changing of the law, it's really tax policy, is not NamRA. But we are big on engagement. That's why we are here. That's why we are here, and also a lot of our colleagues are still there in the office, and any industry or individual or a sector that can come and reach our knowledge about your specific industry, we are here. We want Namibia to prosper. And we also do believe that the more money comes to Namibia, if our economy is growing, we are here to help Namibia prosper, and therefore the more business you are having or revenue that are staying here, the better for Namibia, and that's why we are coming out. We didn't wait for you to come to us, and therefore I cannot say, great proposal, we are ready to engage. The last one is from the France Kaulige, a content creator as well. It was also part of advice. It was part of advice, and also the fact that we lose a lot of money. But one thing that I also wanted to share with the audience is the fact that Namibia's tax system is what is called a source-based principle. What do we mean by that? If you make your money outside Namibia, you are not taxed here. It's not like a resident-based system like other countries like America. Wherever you make your money, as long as you're an American, you have to pay tax. But with us, if you make your money outside the border of Namibia, we don't want to touch that money. We are happy. You can just bring it home. We don't tax it even. So it's a source-based taxation. That treaty that you are speaking about with regard to the America, that South Africa, they have ratified it and so on, I'm not aware of that. But the most important thing about engagement like this is for us to learn. And if there is something that can benefit the Namibian members of the creative sector industry that we do not know, we will investigate. And if Namibia have to ratify, then we will talk to our colleagues from the tax policy as well. And I think I agree with you that data is a new currency. And that's why you will see our strategic objective number 7. We really want to invest more in data management and analytical capability as well. And therefore, the advice about we need to bring our A game and think progressively, I can only commend you for that advice. And this exchange is really the purpose of a stakeholder engagement like this one. One comment from Andre that I did not address. When you made your comment, you also expressed concern about goods that are staying with customs for a long time. Yeah, and it's good that you raised that. What we are currently doing, we are working with WCO, World Customs Organization, to do what is called time release study, so that we are very clear that once a consignment comes, how many processes does it go through, and how long does it take, and what is the average release time? Because what we do know is that you will find some of our officials, for example, from customs, they will tell you if goods have to be cleared and all the documentation are in place and all the payments are done, even in 30 minutes you can get your goods. But we have also picked up that process sometimes you have many actors or players or border agencies that are involved, including clearing agents. And last week I was speaking with one of the person. The person was complaining to me, oh no, my goods are stuck there, my consignment from China is stuck there at the airport. Only to find out that no, it has nothing to do with NamRA, it is the clearing agents and so on. But what I have noted, and the commitment from our colleagues from customs, is that they don't take long to release the goods. But what I have noted is that in the past, maybe the implementation of the law may not have been as it is now, because remember, if you're importing like textile or clothing from China, for example, the customs duty there is 45% plus 16% VAT. And people used to under-declare and so on. We have cases of people bringing consignment, a container full of jeans, trousers, and each one is declared 20 cents. We have consignment coming in here, a suit, 3 pieces, is declared for 20 Namibian dollars. So the issue of under-declaration and misclassification so that people do not pay, it has been the order of the day. But now the colleagues in the orange and the commitment really to collect more revenue on behalf of the state, if the things are in order, there's no problem. But the under-declaration and misclassification, that has been the issue. And then the question from Master Vincent, I wanted my colleagues from customs, maybe at least you can address that one, because we believe in teamwork. When you take, unless if you clarify it, but I wanted my colleagues to be the one to address that because they are more experienced in custom matter than I, and at least will address that one. Master Sam, Patrick Sam, I've taken note of your comments, and thank you for sharing those statistics as well. And I know my colleagues and my team, they will also be interested in those statistics because data matters. And also, there was a question that if we are getting in the region of 3,000, do we even qualify? But just like it was shared by Ms. Moine and Vivian as well, that if you do not pay more than 4,100 per month, you do not even qualify to pay tax. But again, I always talk about people. Yes, the industry may not be maybe struggling, or there could be people who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. But from a motivational speaking perspective, I want to encourage those who are in the industry not to limit yourself and not allow anyone to limit you, and not to say this is a small industry, we are just here. Always to believe that you can become more, you can become better, and you can grow. There used to be a time in the past whereby we used to be limited, saying, oh, in Namibia the population is very small and so on. I don't know, and if you were not aware of this, Namibia now have signed up on the African Continental Free Trade Area. And very soon we will not be talking about a market of 2.5 million, but we, as Namibians, our products, we will have access to a market of 1.3 billion. And if Namibians, we cannot come together and try to understand how do we benefit from this arrangement of African Continental Free Trade, the other people from other countries, they will benefit from their country, from other African countries in Namibia, while you will find wanting and not be prepared for the opportunity. Don't wait for that opportunity to come before you start wanting to wake up. The best time is always to prepare yourself for the opportunity before the opportunity manifests itself. So let's try to educate our people as well that we have to start thinking beyond Namibia. Yes, I agreed with regard to the need of creating an enabling environment, and also the fact that the issue sometimes people are not paid and there is no grievance and so on. I think here it's a conversation, perhaps not necessarily only with NamRA, but also those who are then involved in getting these services and they are not paying. That's why the good thing is that we are recording this, we are sharing this. And one of the advantages of an engagement like this, even those who did not make it here, indirectly you are speaking to them as well to say that if you get service, please do pay. Yeah, and I take note of your comment about the absence of a grievance process, but again, indirectly, those who are responsible for that, they are also getting the message. Brother Josie, a friend of Yaruke Ekuro, I think I appreciate your suggestion, but I must also indicate that there is synergy between tax policy and tax administration. There have been some individuals or traders from a specific sector, when they say they want to come and see us, we will make sure that we invite the head of tax policy as well to sit in those as well. But one thing that I have also noted is that in our law, there is also a requirement whereby we are empowered to advise the Minister of Finance on matters with regard to tax collection and revenue administration. And therefore, I would encourage, and we will encourage going forward in the future, that yes, it would be important sometime for us to be at events like this together with tax policy. It's only that they are only starting. At least we are 29 months. 29 months. They are not even 6 months. But I think it's a good suggestion, and we take it wholeheartedly. Does NamRA form part of a budget committee? There must be a segregation of duty. Our mandate is to collect revenue on behalf of the state. In the past, we will collect and so on. But going forward, our interest will also be to ensure persuasively how do we link this tax to the SDG, Sustainable Development Goal. But we are not part of, we cannot be anywhere, we can only do that which we are legally mandated. And that's protect society, facilitate trade, collect revenue. And if we are going to be part of the budgeting and so on, we will miss the bigger picture, which is the revenue collection. But your suggestion is spot on. The good thing again, as I say, and you raise that point, I think the message you have sent out, the message that budgets to be motivated for this creative industry. You just get the clip, you cut it out. We send it even to Tate Pungu and to the other. I think great stuff that you made it here. What was that? Does NamRA form part of the budget that we take care of that? Creative sector has been poorly taken care of, and also motivate. We must motivate for the creative industry. Like I indicated that, look, we are servant of the Namibian people. Our interest is for all the sector. We want to see economic growth. We want to capacitate the state through revenue collection and so on. But the issue of where it should go and so on, there are other people who are mandated to do that. But I think your message is also very loud and clear. Master Chilumba, what I'm seeing here is that I think I would want to share with you that if you have a group of some of your colleagues that you work with, we are able to provide you a resource to give you training, be it on integrated tax administration, how do you deal with provisional tax and so on. We are able to do that. And the good thing is that our footprint, we are all over the country. When you just request to us, you can write to us. I will make sure that we give you and some of your colleagues a resource to ensure that you are given that training. Because and thank you for coming, and that's why now I'm giving you that commitment. When a tourist buy for export levy, the tourist or the one who is exporting, that is their responsibility. They are the one to pay that tax. There was a comment by Nathan, creator of content for radio broadcasting, and you indicated that there's problem with classification. Nathan, you will recall that when I started talking, I indicated that if one look at our classification of creative sector, I think we have 3 categories: the entertainment, recreation, and artists. And again, when my sister Kaliko Mawulu spoke, I was able to admit there and say the importance of understanding one another. When she unpacked this industry is big, very big. If we're talking about advertising, for example, and advertising, including graphic designing, within this industry, you have those who are not here where they want to be, but there are also those who are doing very well. We just need proper classification because this industry is big and it requires support, and I believe very much in this industry. I was telling my colleagues, even when I said there, I just feel very much at peace. Remember that sometimes we face stakeholders who are very aggressive and so on, but here I just feel very much at peace, and because these are creative individuals, people who entertain, people who create, who celebrate life and so on. But yes, the misunderstanding is there, but that's why this is a good beginning. The question with regard to the threshold, in Namibia, the threshold, again, like we indicated, is that it starts from 50. From 50, whether individual, CC, or company, that. Okay, Vivian, you wanted to say something? Yeah, please clarify that, Vivian.
Yes, CC and companies from the first dollar, 32% currently. The taxation on CC and company is from the first dollar, the taxable income. The first dollar, 32%.
Thank you, Vivian, for clarifying that. It's an expert of more than 28 years in this space. Now, moving on to Master Ray Nasser from Omaheke region. I want to thank you for traveling all the way from Omaheke region to be here. And I think the concern that you expressed, you want to add on our mandate to go to the National Art Council and audit and make sure that the right people are in the right position. I think indirectly your message will reach there. Because the thing is that it's not the NamRA's mandate to go and ensure that the right people are in the right position there. Our mandate is as we shared it, and I'm happy that now you know what our mandate is. Your concern that you raised about Kapana and virtual artists, again, like I said, the purpose of this session was just not to engage those who came through and those who are seated here, but also those who did not come. That's why the event, the session is live streamed, live. And therefore, the good thing is that Namibia, they listen. And I think it's good that you have to express your concern, because sometimes people cannot manage or change that which they do not understand. So on that note, this was my final contribution. Once again, just to say, as Namibian, let's continue engaging. Let's not make assumptions. Let's try to understand first before we can be understood. Let's work together, help build this institution to become a world-class revenue agency. If NamRA win, Namibia win, and if Namibia win, we will all prosper. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Before artists and influencers who earn money on an ad hoc basis, potentially falling within a tax threshold, could you explain what is expected from them in terms of tax registration? Additionally, which tax category would they fall under, and how frequently are they expected to submit their tax returns? I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. There are two ways of registering as a taxpayer. Those who get regular, continuous income, you register, and of course on a monthly basis, your income tax is then withheld. Then you have those who get income on a regular basis, like maybe the influencers. Sometimes you get 50,000, 3 months you get nothing, and sometimes you get another money. So you register as a provisional taxpayer, and there are two. You pay twice in a year. So if you don't get money on a monthly continuous basis, please do come and register as a provisional taxpayer. Don't ignore this. Don't just continue. you're living a good life, you have been buying your nice house, you're traveling to Dubai and so on, and you are not registered. One day, the tax office will knock at your door and they will do an assessment and they will get what is due to the state. So the good thing is to make sure that your book are in order, you have registered, you are compliant, and you have you will have a peace of mind. So thank you very much.
I just asked, once you travel via the Makono or maybe Post Karido, border post, you declare there, but I'm returning via the southern border post. Will the things that I declared at the border post when I left the country will be showing when I'm entering on the other side of the border post? Thank you.
What would happen if you depart from Mamuno border post or any other border post? Your declaration will be dependent on what you are carrying. As I mentioned in my presentation, if you're carrying your personal effects, which would be your personal laptop, which you're using as an artist, graphic designer, your guitar as a musician, your cameras, those personal effects which are for you to use when you're crossing over to the other side, you would declare this on a baggage declaration or an NA65. Upon your return, it doesn't matter at which entry point you come in. You come back with those documents to indicate that you departed Namibia with these goods and you are returning with the same goods in the same state. Now, the difference would come in when you go out with these goods and you have them updated when you are on the other side, although they are your personal effects. Then you would pay your VAT or your duties and taxes depending on where you were going on the rate of duty according to the origin where the repairs were done. Now, if you're living with commercial goods, the same would apply. But then with commercial goods, you don't declare on an NA65 and a baggage declaration. You do your declaration on a SAT 500, which you would do with the assistance of a clearing agent. So when you return back home with the same goods in the same state, then your SAT 500 or your declaration will be acquitted because it would be appearing also on the Asiputa system, which is the customs administration system, the customs system that we are using. It will also show at the border posts where you will be returning or which you will be using upon your return when you come back home. And the same principle would also apply to foreign artists or foreign creatives who come into Namibia. They may import temporarily, and if it's personal effects, duties and taxes might not apply. However, if it's commercial, then they are liable to pay provisional payments on their equipment. And once they depart, with the assistance of the clearing agent, those goods with the SAT 500 would again be acquitted, and the clearing agent would assist them to claim the provisional payment back. I hope that answers your question.